Buying a home can be extremely confusing, and many times people settle for what they think is a good process, but they're never actually taught what should be a good process. Don't let this happen to you. In this video, we're going to go through what the process of home buying looks like from when you first get interested to when you get your offer accepted. Stay tuned till the end of this video to see the 3 steps we're going to talk about, and most importantly, how those 3 steps can be synergized to save you the most money on your next home offer. Before we jump in, please smash that like button, subscribe, and even put some alerts on. Why? Because the information we're giving you is information that as a loan officer and as a high producing loan officer, I look back at the beginning of my career and I wish somebody would have given me all these details. So here's the 3 easy steps. Number 1, when you're looking at getting started in the process, you want to go and shop lenders. Does this mean that you're going to go get your credit ran 15 different times and then take a loan estimate to each and every single lender? Doesn't necessarily have to mean that. What do I mean by that? Well, what I mean by shopping lenders is you're trying to identify what is going to be one of the fundamental resources for you in moving forward. When you're shopping, what should you be looking for? Obviously, costs. Right? That is the blatant obvious thing. You want to make sure that the cost is something that's fair to you. You're not being overcharged in origination fees. You're not being given some BS type of reason why you need to be, charged X amount when the rest of the country is not, or other people aren't. And it's just not fair, right? Like, that's an obvious one. We want to be able to identify costs. That cost is going to be in many different things, right? What is the lender's fees? What are origination fees? Sometimes these can be categorized as processing underwriting fees. What are the extra costs to a lower interest rate? Are there any points on the quotes on the rates you're being quoted? Are there anything else that you're seeing in the charge from the lender that needs to be understood? Also, is the lender helping you identify what the third party costs are going to be? Is there going to be any type of escrow service or transfer tax fees or county recording fees? Most of the time there are. So ensuring that all those costs are not just shown from the lender, but explained is very, very important. Now, cost is one part. What are some other factors, even in that category, we need to be able to expand upon? Well, another is going to be your APR, right? Your annual percentage rate. What is the total cost that is happening on this loan in this formula so that you can be able to compare it in an easy format? That's the second, APR. But in addition to that, one of the other factors that, again, as a loan officer looking back in my earlier part of my career, I wish somebody would have taught me, was the EPR. What is my effective percentage rate? And what I mean by that is we need to be able to identify, when I look at my effective percentage rate in my different loans, which one is going to save me the most money? Effective percentage rate can be easily clarified in this one example. Think of one loan where your interest rate is X. Let's call it 2% to be super fair here. And your mortgage insurance on that loan is 0.8%. That now means your EPR, your effective percentage rate, is 2.8. This other loan, the interest rate is 2.25. So you might be like, oh my gosh, obviously the better savings is 2.25, not the 2%. But the mortgage insurance there is 0.5 because of your FICO score or whatever. The EPR on that rate then would be 2.75. Which loan has a lower EPR? And in that scenario, the lower EPR could potentially give you the lower payment, even though it doesn't have the lowest interest rate. Now, in today's world, good luck finding a 2%. That's just for the sake of the example. But with all that said, understanding EPR is crucial. So you want to look at costs, you want to look at APR, you want to look at EPR. And as I just showed there in that example, this dovetails us into our next point, options. What options are you being given? What loan program options are you being given? What mortgage insurance options are you being given? Do I have to pay monthly mortgage insurance, or are there some other options that I can use, even if I don't have 20% down? What options do I have if my appraisal comes in low? Those are all aspects your loan officer needs to be able to educate you on. And if you're speaking to a loan officer who doesn't seem to have the mortgage IQ high enough to explain those factors to you, run. Go somewhere else. Find somebody who has the intelligence needed to be able to guide you in this way, because you deserve it. The last factor is going to be something that is going to be pretty much a two-part piece, but very close together. What is the strategy and advice being offered to you? Strategy is going to go into infrastructure and the advice specific of the loan officer. What I mean by that is, when you're looking at the infrastructure, what is their overall business strategy? Is their goal to pre-approve as many people in the easiest way possible so their lead funnel can be super, super high, right? They're all the way out here trying to get everyone in as much as possible so that hopefully by the end of escrow, there's some that close. It might sound stupid to you, and if it does, then you're right. That's idiotic, at least in my opinion. Or is their model, let's approve people who 100% are going to have the highest possibility of closing so that we can see clients get into escrow and actually close at the highest rate possible. And in addition to that, what's the advice being given with their structure? Are they just trying to have you go through the assembly line and trying to have you go as high as possible, or they're actually analyzing what's your monthly budget? Are you going to be house poor? Do you have enough money in reserves? Are you in a position where this is going to be the right decision, not just for you now, but for your future? All those are aspects that need to be identified when I speak about this category of shopping for lenders. It's your costs, it's your APR, it's your EPR, and it's also your options and your strategy with advice. The second step is your pre-approval, and it's not completely separate from step one. It's very close. And your pre-approval, you might think, oh, well, all pre-approvals are the same. If I get a pre-approval from this bank, it means the same thing as a pre-approval from that bank. It might not. That bigger bank that you might be referring to might have left a bad taste in a lot of people's mouths, specifically listing agents who have worked with that bank before. And now they're going to speak to the seller and go, my past experience is that bank did not deliver on their promises. So if we're comparing multiple offers, that one might not get the highest cheerleading actions from the listing agent because of past experiences, because that company's business model is different and they're trying to get as many possible into escrow as they can so they can try to at least close some. That model leads to a bad reputation, and lenders with bad reputations can effectively make you lose. So the pre-approval piece is super important. This is the part where you want to identify what kind of pre-approval do I have? There's 3 different stages. Stage number 1. This is the type of stage that either a software system, because you completed it on a website, or a person you speak with who tries to become your best friend within 10 seconds, because that's how he's been trained in sales, collects your information and tells you, from everything I see, this could be potentially a loan. Here's a pre-approval letter. They might even call it a pre-qual letter. No clue. Right? But for them, this just means that you have, from my expertise, something that could potentially work. It's not a guarantee, and it's still something in writing. So there you go. Level 2. Level 2 is a little bit more work. This is typically the industry standard from the professionals that I've seen in the industry, where they're not just quote unquote taking a verbal guidance from there, right? They're not just taking your word for it. They're not just, okay, here's what you're telling me, I'm going to give you a letter, because they know there's so much more that has to be verified. They've collected the documents. They've seen that the income you said you made actually lines up with the documents that needed to prove it. They've also ran a software system that might have the word underwriting in it. And now they come back to you and say, you have been pre-underwritten and you are approved eligible that you could potentially get this house. So that went from, I think you can get this loan, to you should be able to get this loan. That's a great pre-approval in many practices, depending on what mortgage company you're working with. Third level of pre-approval is this, or the third stage. Your file, the verbal information you gave, or you input it into a website, the documentation you provided to verify that, the software system that confirmed all of it, all that has to go to an actual legal underwriter. Because understand this, when you open escrow, the loan officer doesn't approve your file. The underwriter does. So having the underwriter approve your file before you're in escrow gets you to the highest level of pre-approval and the best chance of getting your offer accepted. The third part of our journey here is the most fun. I'm going to be honest, being a loan officer, I sometimes feel like a dentist where their patient only comes to them when there's a toothache, which I would say, go to your dentist early, get your teeth clean, do all that great stuff. And same thing, go to your lenders early. Find out what you can do 6 months ahead of a purchase to be able to be ahead of the game and even get a better deal once you're ready. All that to say, back to selecting a home, this is a really fun part. You need a really good agent in this as well. And so as you go shopping, now that you're equipped with the numbers you need, with the pre-approval required, now find the professional that doesn't just open a door for you, but they give you the guidance of stuff that you didn't even know you needed to know. And as you're speaking with this realtor, two of the things that are very important for you to understand as you're selecting a home with the professional guidance of a realtor are this. Number one, location. It's really important, not just for the growth of your equity, but location is really important just for you. Is this the place in the neighborhood you wanted to be in? What does this do for you as far as distance from work? Are you going to be home later now? Is this going to be something that brings challenges to you that you just didn't want and you're going to end up regretting later on? Does the house even have service for your cell phone in your master bedroom? Right? If you know that you leave and your spouse is going to be there home alone, or your loved one's going to be there home alone, or your dog's going to be there home alone, and you want to make sure that there's some type of cell service, or it's in the right location so you can have the right type of Wi-Fi so you can see your doggy cam going. Make sure to verify that before you get the house, because unlike shopping at Nordstrom and Target, once you buy this, you can't just return it. It doesn't usually work like that. This is the moment to quote unquote return your house before you actually place an offer. And the second part that you need to be aware of is not just what location, but what lifestyle. What lifestyle is this house going to provide for me? Is this going to be the area I wanted to be in that energizes me to do better or to reach the goals that I want? Is this going to be the place of tranquility I was looking for? Is this going to be the noisiness of a road that is too busy for me to be able to sleep well at night? Is this going to be where I want to be is the question. As we look at this journey, we want to make sure we find the right lender resource that gives us everything we deserve to have for the best process possible. We want to be able to have the right type of pre-approval that in a crazy market like today in 2022, where most markets are sellers markets, you have the best resource to potentially get your offer accepted. And then number three, you select the home with the right professional and the right mentality. How do all three of these save us money? Well, realize the resource with the lending is fundamental, and tied to it very closely is this strong pre-approval, where when you're going out shopping and you found a house that you know hits all the boxes, all those three things put together create something. It creates an offer package where when you are presented to the seller, you can be shown to the seller to know your numbers, to have the greatest guarantee possible of a closing so you can be like cash in the most possible way through a loan. And then three, you've identified that this is a house you want, and the professionals you've chosen to work with represent your strengths in the right way so you can stand out and actually get into this home. That leads us to the next step of the journey. And the next step of the journey is your contract meeting once you open escrow. What is that? Stay tuned on our YouTube channel to find out. If you have any questions, concerns, comments, any feedback at all about the overview of this process, know it's not exhaustive. Know that I'm trying to just give a few little things here to equip you better for your home shopping. Please, please, please let us know that feedback, any of those questions, comments, all in the comments section. I look forward to chatting with you more there. Can't wait to chat with you more soon. Bye-bye.